Hello, digital art students. This is Mr. Kushla recording a Krita demonstration of how to create your digital painting project using Krita. If you have not already downloaded Krita, Krita is a great free Photoshop equivalent for PC and Mac users. This cannot be done on a Chromebook, so if you have a school Chromebook, I'm sorry, but you got to use Kleki for this project. So let's get right into it. So when you open up Krita, this is the desktop. You have your toolbar over here. You've got your brush presets, you've got your layers, and you've got your color selections. The only thing missing from this window that is similar to Photoshop is the undo history. So I would highly recommend that you turn that on by going to Settings, Dockers, and then there's a button called Undo History. Just take this window and kind of drag it over here, and it should magically fit in. Let's put it next to layers or above layers. We'll put it above layers. Why not for now? So now I have an undo history window. I can make this bigger or smaller. I can also drag it in here and it'll have its own thing next to layers. That's better. I don't really need channels, so let's just get rid of that. Channels is something else. I'll drag that off and it's not going to disappear. No worries. All right, so we're back to Krita. So next thing we know, first thing we're going to do is create a new file, just like with Photoshop. You want to be taking your painting and building your painting from a blank canvas. My blank canvas, I'm going to select US letter size and create a letter size document. I opened it the wrong way. It's too tall. So to rotate an image, I'm going to click Image, Rotate, and rotate 90 degrees so that I now have a horizontal version or a landscape version. Now the first thing we need to do is find a piece of fruit that we're going to draw. I've been eating a lot of mangoes lately for the holiday, for the break. And the one thing about mangoes, I would not choose a picture like this or like this that has like 5 million mangoes for you to paint. Pick something that's simple, has maybe 2 or 3 pieces of fruit. This one has a background, which would be kind of nice. Yeah, I kind of like that picture, so let's go with it. So I'm going to right click it, copy, and then go back over to Krita and paste it, Control V, into my desktop. Now it's very small, but it doesn't give me those bounding boxes like Photoshop does. So to do that, to make this bigger, I need to press Control T, and now I can enlarge it as big as I want to. So I'm going to make it pretty big, and honestly, like I can make these 3 fruits even bigger and just not worry. I don't need this stuff over here, so I really just need the mangoes. So boom, let's put that on here and hit enter. So now it is placed. We've got our nice picture of mangoes. So I'm going to start to make layers for 3 layers because I see 3 objects in this work, in this artwork. So I have 3 mangoes, so I need 3 layers. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to name this Mango 1. I'm going to name this Mango 2. And I'm going to name this one Mango 3. So I will start by kind of working on each mango as its own layer. I'm going to actually start with the top mango. So I'm going to start with this mango here. Over here, you've got a little zoom tool. You can use that to kind of zoom in on a feature. But you can also, wherever you are in Krita, right click and it gives you a whole bunch of different tool presets. Plus it gives you this little bar here, which you can use to kind of zoom in or zoom out. You can also change your foreground color here and your background color here. You can also rotate your picture if you want. And you can choose different brushes, which is what we're going to get into next. Once you've done what you need to do, just click anywhere on your picture and that little window will go away. So to start, I'm going to start by choosing hard brushes, and then I'm going to gradually shift to more soft edge brushes. So I'm going to click on my basic 5 brush here, and I'm going to click on the brush tool or shortcut B. And just like Photoshop, it has that little circle icon. And I can make that bigger or smaller using the brackets on my desktop, or I can make it bigger or smaller up here. The only other thing you may want to play around with is opacity, especially when we get to shading. It does not have hardness feature because each individual brush preset is either hard or soft. So this is a soft brush. This is a hard brush. So I'm going to choose a hard brush, and I'm going to sample a color. To sample a color for this, even though I have like 3 different shades of orange, plus I have a light orange and a dark orange, I'm going to pick a kind of general middle color to start as my basic mango. And I'm going to literally just brush, 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 brush. And I'm coloring along the edges to fill in this mango. And I'm not worried about shading. I'm not worried about highlights just yet. That will come later. If you need to erase something, so say for instance you went over it, just click on this little eraser feature and that will turn any brush into an eraser, which is a super powerful tool, especially for when you get into like adding texture or shading, because you can make soft brusher, soft erasers, hard erasers, those kind of things. So I'm going to kind of go up to this edge and around here. So now I will pause the video, speed it up, and I'm going to do all 3 mangoes, and then we'll meet again in a couple of seconds. All right, so we're back. I drew in all 3 mangoes, and if you notice over here on my layer panel, each individual mango is on its own layer, so we can deal with each mango. We can get into shading and painting each mango separately. So now let's just focus on, let's go with mango number, I like mango 2 first. So we'll focus on mango 2, and then I'll repeat the process for the other 2 mangoes separately, and then we can meet again. So the key is, right, I've got this mango. I'm going to turn off the branches too. I'm going to zoom in on mango 2 and make sure I'm on the mango 2 layer so we can see this. I do want to do what's called an alpha lock, because I'm going to start to now brush the darker shades, the lighter yellows, the highlight here, the dark shadow in here, onto this mango. And the issue that's going to happen is I may potentially go over the edges. So there's a couple cool features. So first thing I'm going to do with my brush, I'm going to kind of sample some of the colors that are in here. I'm going to sample this one, and I'm going to paint it over here. Let's make a new layer. I'm going to make a new layer, sample this color, put it over here. Sample this color, put it over here, sample that color, put it over here. So that's like almost practically white. There's a little brown shadow over here. And I'm kind of starting, if you can see what I'm doing, I'm setting up a palette of different colors that I'm going to do. So now I'm going to go over to this layer, and I'm going to start to brush on my color. So I'll turn my opacity down on this layer so I can see the mango underneath a little bit. And I'll start to pick a different brush. So I'm going to actually right click, and I'm going to click one of these softer brushes. So I'll do airbrush soft, and the one tool that I said to turn on was preserve alpha. So what that's going to do is if I'm using this dark brown, it's only going to shade that dark brown. So let me turn the opacity up. See how it only shaded that dark brown. So this is what it looks like without alpha. It goes over the edges. Undo. But if I have this preserve alpha clicked, when I go in and I add things like this highlight over here, it will kind of keep the edge of the highlight. So that's a pretty awesome tool. So again, I'll turn this opacity down, and I'll just kind of go through and start to pick a little of that greenish color and throw some of that green soft. The other thing you might want to do, which is looking like it, some of these green, that's like green was almost too potent. I'm going to turn my opacity down so it's a very subtle color. This shadow is a little smaller, so I'll go in here and kind of do a little dark shadow. This shadow up here is a little dark. There's kind of a little medium brown shadow here. So I'm using kind of an airbrush. Look, there is like a very hard edged shadow here. So I'm going to actually pick a hard edge. I'm going to zoom this down and kind of create a little bit more of like a very hard edged, bright white shadow here. Do a little dark shadow. So now let's turn this opacity up and see what we get, what we're working with here. So it's starting to look a little bit more 3D. It looks a little lumpy right over here. So I'm going to clean up that lumpiness. So I will kind of just take this highlight white and just drag it and kind of make it big enough that it goes over the whole edge there. And then I might make this kind of a darker here and kind of go in. If I want to see what the picture looked like, oh, I'm way off. I need to pick up more of this green. So I'm going to take more of this green and start to kind of put it in here. Wrong layer. Start to mix in some of that greenish mango. But you know, you're the artist. You don't. It doesn't have to look like the picture exactly. It can be kind of a little your interpretation. Let's take some of this orange. Went a little too green here. Mix that orange back in. So I'm going to now pause the video again, and I'll do all of the shading for all of the individual mangoes. All right, so we are back. I did a little shading on each individual mango. I also went ahead and just deleted the layer where all of the little color choices that we used. So there was next to each mango a dark, medium, light, dark, medium, light. So now I just want to kind of quickly go over how to finish up your artwork. So view, let me quickly just zoom way out. So we have the whole picture. So I'm actually going to take that old photo and I'm going to just dump it in the trash can, and it is gone. And some of you may be left with a clear background. Some of you may be left with a background that has kind of a solid white. You want to think about what colors might be good with your mango. So for instance, in my picture, it had a lot of greens up tops and some browns down below. So I'm going to literally just go with that big soft brush that I was using earlier, and I'm going to choose a green that kind of looks like trees. And I'm going to, on my layer, unlock it, my background layer. I'm going to just start to kind of brush in some green up top to kind of create it. I can turn my opacity is like way too low. Now I kind of have this illusion that it's in the trees, and then I might just pick a brownish color for down below, and then just kind of in the middle where they meet, just let it fade together. Now I don't like here how they're the brown of the background and the brown of the mango look too similar, so I'm going to actually switch it up and kind of go with the gray and green. That looks kind of nice. So I'm going to now just take my artwork, file, save, and this will save it as a Krita only document, mango, and it will preserve all your layers and history and all that kind of stuff. But then you want to, in order to upload it, just go to File, Save As, and then change it from Krita document to JPEG, just like you do in class, and hit Save. So that is it for me. Remember, keep quality up, okay? If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out on Google Classroom.